tell.
All right, we got hedging sanctions risk, Bitcoin in central bank reserves. This is from Simple Stacker. 11,800 sats, 9 comments. Keyan, what is all this stuff?
Yeah, so there was a paper, I think the Scoresby shared, about central banks potentially hedging sanctions risk using Bitcoin. And so Simple Stacker went and read it and then summarized it for us here. They also compared they also did the same thing for gold, use the same model and use gold. They had a bunch of other things in the footnotes. I guess they showed like mining, but they have Simple Stacker's conclusion is they do understand Bitcoin at least. And then like the headline of this, I would say, is that even if a country is risk averse, but if they have a high risk of sanctions, they should use Bitcoin in their portfolio to hedge against those sanction risks. It will help them because Bitcoin is borderless, etc. And they'll still be able to, gain access to a liquid market that allows them to preserve their reserve value. Or if a country does not have sanctions risk, but it has a low risk aversion, meaning they are okay with taking some risk in their portfolio, they should also add Bitcoin because it'll improve the returns on their reserves. So in general, this is a good study for Bitcoin, or it's like, it's favorable. It paints Bitcoin in a favorable perspective. Even governments can use Bitcoin in their portfolio to fight other governments' overreach. So I say cool. And I think the main flaw, Simple Stacker also points out flaws that they found in it. The main one being that it's like a simulation of the circumstances that a country would, like the model is a simulation of what would happen to a country should they suffer sanctions. And so, and I guess that model assumes that the Federal Reserve in that country is not already engaging in other hedging activities as the sanction risks increase. And so that might be painting a rosier picture than would otherwise be the case, but still cool to see academics looking at Bitcoin, in my opinion.
Yeah, it looks like they also bring up second, we apply a price discovery methodology and framework which was designed to handle sparse and asynchronous data and analyzing Bitcoin markets, covering spot markets with quotes of USD and USDT. Damn, that's a long paper. So you read through all this?
Yeah, well, he's an academic economist, and so it's kind of right
Where
up
were
his
they
alley.
grabbing all this from? The development of Bitcoin future, exploring the interactions. Where are these coming from?
I mean, this is you're on one journal's website right now.
Yeah, I'm just looking at their references. High frequency. Interesting. It's fascinating to see them do their own research in this stuff and like where they're grabbing it from. I might take a look at this later.
Yeah, it seems to be mostly other academic papers. Be cool to see like a Satoshi Nakamoto Institute reference or something.
But yeah, they're not gonna do that. Fascinating. Wow, good stuff. Topher, you got anything on this?
I mean, I haven't read the paper. I don't understand the model. So yeah, I don't have anything to say about the paper. I don't know if you can really, I don't even know how you'd begin to model Bitcoin as a reserve asset for the world to avoid sanctions risk. I know that there was use of Bitcoin in the Russia-Ukraine war on both sides. So there's precedent of Bitcoin being used to evade sanctions. But for a nation state to like make it a part of their strategy, like, I don't know, because most nations don't accept Bitcoin. And so much of the price of Bitcoin is based on US dollar denominated debt that the US indirectly controls the price of Bitcoin. So, evade sanctions from who? From the US? Like, I don't know. Like, this is something that hasn't been tested, and I don't understand the model. And I think it's just all pure speculation, which I think is what
I think it's
Scoresby's saying too.
It is. I mean, it is a simulation, and Simple Stacker says it's a simple model, but I think it is specifically looking at sanctions from the US and or Europe. And what if they're holding US treasuries, or they're holding European treasuries? I don't know what the equivalent, European bank treasuries, and they get sanctioned like Russia did, where those go to zero or have some fraction of the value they once had. What would, if Bitcoin were in that portfolio too, what would happen? Is more or less what they're looking at. So yeah, they probably do not model properly. Like, and Simple Stacker points this out, a state-sponsored attack on Bitcoin affecting its price.
Yeah, I don't think I don't actually think like Bitcoin fits in that model, to be honest, because it's not like, maybe it fits in this like fiat era, but I feel like it should have its own model.
Yeah, it's fiat thinking.
Yeah.
Because if you want to hedge yourself, like, you wouldn't just invest in Bitcoin, you invest in hash power. Because even if you hold the Bitcoin, they could still attack, like, the US could still decide to attack you through hash power. If they really wanted to, they could do that.
I think that's why.
As far as like, if you're in a nation state level, like, you have to think about
I
that.
like where you're going with this, because I like how Simple Stacker I like why Simple Stacker brings this up too, where he says, he brings up the mining per country. So he does bring that up, Topher.
Yeah, you'd have to do both. You'd have to hedge your bets with Bitcoin and hash power.
Yeah, that's why I'm thinking. That's why I was wondering where the references is coming. It doesn't add up. Like, I don't think they're actually thinking through like a Bitcoin lens. I think they're thinking through a fiat lens, trying to understand Bitcoin, but I don't think they're understanding it by the models that they're applying it. This is where they really have to like spend time in the ecosystem.
I would love to see this modeled. I just don't know if we really have like an accurate way to model this.
What would you recommend a person like this reads, Car, to get
maybe
to not make this
maybe probably what who would be probably the best companies to talk to?
should talk to a company, not like an author of one of the
Like about
Bitcoin
this
books.
subject?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if we've really even talked about this. I'm sure somebody has. But
Yeah, trying to game theory it out.
well, it hasn't even happened yet. Like, honestly, Bitcoin has had the smoothest sailing fucking ride. As far as like technologies that have threatened the establishment, like, Bitcoin's had a smooth ride. Like, we haven't really had a nation state attack against Bitcoin.
I think it's just because they're like slowly turning on they're just like boiling a frog kind of thing. So that's why I think it appears that way, at least in the United States.
I just think it hasn't imposed much of a threat to the establishment yet. And they perceive themselves as, and to a large extent they are, as being successful in kind of like quelching any peer-to-peer Bitcoin usage at scale, at least. It's most the Kevin Durant's of the world, which probably 95% of Bitcoin users are all KYC'd into some application or exchange. So what risk do they pose if they can call up Coinbase and ask them to freeze their assets?
Yeah, the gloves haven't come off yet, so
We're getting
I
there.
don't know
though.
how we would model.
I mean,
what is your risk when we haven't really seen like what that looks like in practice? Because like we haven't really, there hasn't been like a real war or attack against Bitcoin, so to speak. Like even China, like they banned Bitcoin mining, but they allowed all the miners to take their equipment and leave China and then come to the US. They could have seized all the equipment and just assumed all mining operations, but they didn't do that.
Good point.
So it's like we haven't seen like a real attack where like a nation state takes over the hash power. They try to control block production.
Yeah, good point. Yeah.
Look at how much hash China had. I didn't realize that, but in 2019 they had almost 80% of hash. That's so wild to me.
They gave it up.
Wow.
Idiots.
I think they're still mining though.
Oh, I'm sure they are, but like, I mean, the
even based on this graph.
government's a bunch of idiots over there. But
I think I was reading something recently that said Bitmain, when they overproduce miners, they actually end up mining themselves with them. So it's like they're constantly producing whether there's buyers or not.
Yeah.
Because in the worst case, they can just mine themselves.
Yeah, they got a good racket going over at Bitmain.
Yeah.
Hopefully that ends soon.
It's crazy. They gave it all to America. Look at that.
Yeah, it all came
Texas,
here.
baby. Woo, doggy.
And Kazakhstan.
And Kazakhstan.
Gotta go to Kazakhstan to start mining. Isn't that where
Borat got it?
It's a real country.
Fucking Borat.
It's a real country with real people.
Dude,
They're
Borat.
all like Borat. I met a woman from Kazakhstan once. We had her watch Borat. She did not like it.
Oh, she didn't like it? From my country. Cool stuff.
Isn't that one guy from Vlad? Isn't Vlad from Kazakhstan?
Romania.
Oh, he's from Romania.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, people in either Romania or
Double
Kazakhstan.
dots.
I don't know countries.
No, I think he's telling everybody he's from Romania. Cool.
Okay.
The next